Help out the Dr.Wily channel by clicking the sponsor button below. This way you can financially support us and get some cool perks in the process. One of the most famous 2D side-scroller in the history of Super Mario has to be the famous Super Mario World. It was and still is the crown jewel to a lot of Nintendo fans, and rightfully so. However, what would it look like if Nintendo remade the game now? Well, let's find out! Now, Super Mario World was a launch title released for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System on November 21st, 1990. The game was produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, featuring music composed by Koji Kondo and graphics designed by Shigefumi Hino. This is the first Mario game in which Yoshis, Wigglers, Monty Moles, Banzai Bills, Swoopers, and Magic Koopas appear, as well as a save feature. When it came down to it, this game had a massive impact on the Super Mario series and became a gigantic hit on the SNES. And in order to find out how it would change compared to the 1990 version to what would happen now, we will have to look at a couple of things. Starting with the graphics of the game, because those would probably change quite a lot. Now here there are a couple of styles that would still fit extremely well with the idea behind the visuals of the original. But this time it's way higher quality, a lot more detailed, and even new lighting effects could be added to create a different or more interesting look. Now, the first example I want to look at is a game that recently released on the Nintendo Switch, Octopath Traveler. This game has a HD 2D art style, which was done because the team wanted to resonate with the players who played RPGs during the 8 and 16-bit era, yet at the same time make the game look great and high quality. We tried different things, and originally we did try to put everything in pixel style art, says producer Masui Takashi. But at the end of the day, compared to what we were thinking of, it felt fake and low quality. This is kind of the effect we want from a game like Super Mario World HD. It needs a lot of elements from the original, but this time modern. However, I'm not sure if this exact art style would fit with a remake of Super Mario World, since they also use a lot of 3D elements, and not everything is really pixel art as most know it. The whole thing is kind of a combination of the old, more traditional pixel art and a more modern aesthetic. However, I think it's better for such a Super Mario remake to maintain this old style that the designers specifically wanted. But the lighting and special effects in this game could look amazing in such a remake. For example, to make Bowser's Castle more creepy and interesting. So there is stuff to learn from this title, but it's not perfect. However, there's another that could be. Shovel Knight, the 2D side-scroller platformer game developed and published by Yacht Club Games. This game has more of a classic feel, taking a ton of inspiration from the games seen on the NES back in the day. Now, something like this would fit a lot better with the remake we are discussing today. Besides that, certain lighting effects like thunder are also seen in this title. Just look at the level that's specifically made for the boss Plague Knight. It looks gorgeous and does some really cool things with color. So if they really incorporated something like this into the new art style, then it could add a whole lot to it. However, there's one last option left, which is actually the most likely. The new Super Mario Bros. Style. And this has actually already kind of happened, because there's a fan game called New Super Mario All-Stars HD, which is exactly what I just described. It's extremely similar to the original game, but this time the only thing you will see is graphics from the new Super Mario Bros. Games. However, another thing that would change if they went for this approach is the dimension. It would go from 2D to 2.5D. This wouldn't change too much from a gameplay perspective, but it would just add depth to the things seen in the game. Personally, I hope they don't go for an art style like this. It would ruin the original look of the game that's so memorable to fans. However, knowing Nintendo, there's quite a big chance that something like this will happen if they remake it. Now for another important point, the performance. I expect at least 720p 60fps on the go and 1080p 60fps in the dock on the Nintendo Switch. It can easily handle a title like this no matter what style they go for, and I bet the battery life will also be better compared to games like Mario Kart and Super Mario Odyssey. Now for our next big section, the gameplay. Here we could see a couple of changes and maybe even new features added. Overall, I think the gameplay of the normal levels seen in the original wouldn't change that much. They want to stay true to what they created so many years ago. It's not like New Super Mario Bros. After all, which was also a bit of a reboot of the 2D series. So personally, I think they will add stuff on top of the stuff seen in the 1990 game. And they have two really good options when it comes to this. Bonus worlds where you could explore mechanics of the game even more, and improving the co-op. In the original, they had two bonus worlds. However, with this remake, they could add even more or expand upon them. The people who played the game back in the day would love to see some extra content after all. And to be honest, that should always be a thing in my opinion. Now, what kind of world they might add is a bit uncertain. They could add something inspired by New Super Mario Bros. Or even Super Mario Odyssey. But this depends on what Nintendo wants, and also when this remake would come out. Because obviously, if Super Mario Odyssey isn't the talk of the town anymore, they probably won't do anything with it. So personally, I think either new Super Mario Bros. Elements, or expanding on the things seen in the original will be the most likely. Now, when it comes to multiplayer, Mario and Luigi are the main playable characters. In two-player mode, Mario is 1 and Luigi 2. If Mario loses her life or completes a level in two-player mode, Luigi comes into play until he does the same. And the two may also share extra lives on the world map. However, in the year 2018, Nintendo can do a lot better. And a great example is the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Because in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the story mode of the game can be played in either single-player mode or multiplayer cooperative mode. Players can be freely added or removed in between levels on the world map. The camera pans as players move, and it zooms in and out depending on the distance to one another. But there is a limit. Players who are too far behind will lose a life. Now, this could easily be added to the game itself in order to make couch co-op an actual thing, and it's tons of fun. If they released it on the Nintendo Switch, then it would work out nicely as well, since it has so many features. This is in my opinion a no-brainer. It would be quite easy for them to add something like this, and the current console is perfect for it. Another thing they also tend to add to the new Super Mario Bros. Games is special modes and minigames you can do with each other. And here I would say one interesting mode could be added, which is all about the star of Super Mario World. A racing mode where you need to go as fast as you can and collect all the coins while riding a Yoshi. This can add to the gameplay and make it even more interesting because Yoshi can do things that Mario can't. For example, when he eats Koopa shells, he gains new powers like wings and shooting fireballs. They could even make it that you can damage other players by hitting them with shells or fireballs, which will slow them down. It's an interesting concept that would put our dinosaur friend in the spotlight, which is quite fitting since he debuted in the game. Now for our last point. Would they change the story of this game at all? Well, I don't think so. The overall story of the game is quite simplistic, just like all the other Super Mario titles. However, one thing will certainly change. The little text boxes and cutscenes that you encounter in the game will certainly be replaced by actual modern cutscenes, which have a lot more effects and depth to them. Because to be honest, especially the text boxes at the start of the game can get a major upgrade that would enhance the story a lot. By doing something like this, the storytelling in the game would get a lot better, and maybe people will actually care about the story because of it. Because as it is now, the story is poorly explained and anything but interesting to the player. Now, if any of this will ever happen is unknown. Nintendo has never mentioned it, and the last time they touched this title was when they created the SNES Classic Edition. So if they will ever do this will remain a mystery. Let's just hope they will do it one day. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Have you clicked subscribe and the bell button yet? No you haven't, I feel betrayed. Have you watched all my videos? No? Well do so now, click all the things on the screen.